مرحبا فيكم في حلقة جديدة من برو تايم في مملكة البحرين. اليوم مستضيفين يعني أشخاص عزيزين علينا وشركة احنا فخورين أن صرنا وكلائها اللي هي لانغن هايني من درزدن، وبدأت مشوارها الآن بالخليج في مملكة البحرين، ونبي نسرد لكم قصة هذه الشركة ومتى نشأت وشلون بدأت من درزدن وجات البحرين، ومن البحرين راح تنتقل إلى الخليج العربي. رحبوا معاي الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة لانغن هايني الأستاذ ألكسندر غوارتييز دياز. Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez, for joining us at Brew Time. We are happy to officially be your partners in the Middle East, and we wanted to introduce Lange Heyne to our collectors and to our clients and audience. Thank you very much for being part of 1010 Labs and being here in Bahrain. Looking forward to working together and introducing your beautiful timepieces in the region.
Thank you for having me.
So just to start with, we wanted to basically let our collectors and community understand more about Lange Heyne, its history, when did the company set up and start. So we'd like you to take us through the journey of how Lange Heyne came to life.
Yes, the Lange Heyne history is not about centuries, it's just 22 years old. But as the name already says, Lange Heyne Dresden, so we are based in Saxony, Germany. But a little bit abroad of the Glashütte brand. So we are in the capital of city of Dresden, meaning we are in the base of the Saxonian watchmaking history, because initially King August started the watch business or the watch thing within the city of Dresden. So we are in the city of Dresden, founded 22 years ago by two passionate watchmakers, Mr. Marco Lang and Mirko Heyne. And now, 22 years later on, we are here in the Middle East. So you see the story.
One of the beauty about the brand is it's also affiliated with Bavarian and Saxonian culture, and we see this even in your timepieces. You have named some of the timepieces based on well-known Saxonian kings. So if you can just take us through why, for example, the names of the Saxonian kings were given to the timepieces.
So I think this is a big homage to the region and a big homage to the, let's say, kings which were that time the ones we were pushing the watch business or the watch industry. Industry is probably at that time not the right word, but the watch thing in Germany at all. And if you go to the city center of Dresden, you have several castles, and one of the walls of the castle you have a 120-meter big picture done with the porcelain of Meissen. You find all the royals in a row, beginning in hundreds of years ago, ending up to the last one. And I think it was a very nice idea of the founders to name the watches with the name of the kings. First of all, I think it's the homage. On the other hand, it's probably a little nicer than a reference number like A12345. It's more personal. It gives the watch more personal touch. And if you name something, probably it goes faster to your heart.
Right, excellent. And being one of the leading independents, I believe you also have production. When it comes to production, you are very limited in terms of the production. Yeah. We definitely don't see Lange Heyne out there with a lot of retailers. Also on the pre-owned market, a lot of the watches are intaken by collectors, and there is a reason behind that, which we'd love to hear from you. What is the production capacity of Lange Heyne today?
In terms of numbers, we are talking currently 150 pieces a year. Okay. So, which is already more than in the past, but there's the strategy, the midterm strategy, just to end up at 200. So for me, this is the strategic limit of pieces, 200 a year, which is for sure much less than the global demand of this kind of pieces or Lange Heyne overall. But for us, it's very important. We don't want to lose our DNA. We don't want to lose this, let's say, willingness to the perfection of the watches. And if it comes to that, we are limited in terms of resources. We are 35 people. We are doing 97% of the movement in our place in Dresden. There is no big supply chain management over the world. It's us doing and building these pieces from the scratch up to the sending out to the world. And there's a certain limit. And today we are talking 200 pieces in a max, which would be the maximum size of business. And yeah, talking retailers, and now we're starting in Middle East. Of course, the market is very interesting for us, but we were not able to open up before. There was no piece available. And now we are becoming, let's say, a little better in terms of quantities. Now we are here and we are starting to develop this region.
Excellent. And looking forward to working closely with you to introducing these timepieces to the region. I believe coming back to being perfectionists on, and this is your forte and the value proposition that you bring to the table. So especially with your calibers, as we understand, you have 9 different calibers today that are developed in-house. The preciseness of the developing those calibers and being most of the work being in-house, I believe this is the value proposition that today Lang Heyne brings to the table when compared to other, let's say, watchmakers or other independent brands. You really get into the details of the calibers, the watch itself. We'd really like to hear more about the process, in developing those calibers, the details of, even as we understand the screws are putting the screws on the watches. All of this is done in-house. So we'd love to hear more on that aspect.
As mentioned before, we are not a 300 years old brand. We are just pretty young. But what could be our asset, our main asset, or our main DNA? It's the willingness to have the perfect finissage and the perfect movement in terms of design, in terms of how we do it. And that's why, and of course I have to say, we are, let's say, a small brand, but we are carrying 9 calibers, which is quite a lot of calibers. And at least for us, we are also knowing that we have the let's say, most important complications like tourbillon or chronograph. We do this, but up to a certain point. We don't have this, let's say, ultra complicated watches with a minute repeater, tourbillon in combination and stuff like that. We don't do this, but we say, okay, sometimes we want to have, let's say, a very nicely done watch with certain complications, but done in a perfect way in terms of finissage. So how can we do this? That's exactly what you mentioned before. We don't even buy the screws. So we start on a white sheet of paper. We design the movement, and we have Mr. Schneider, who is one of the leading figures in watch development. And we design the movement. Then it goes to the own production. We have the big machines, high tech, and then it comes step by step to the hands, let's say like that. So there is the finish department, and then we have the watchmakers. But even these guys do the finissage. Finissage for us is the magic word. So we really try to find that each cog, each screw, each component is done perfectly. So not talking 80% or finissage done by machine, we do it by hand. And even if it ends up in a perfect piece, then we are happy. And then it comes to the idea that a little bit like you find it in a brand in the car industry, it's one guy, one movement, So at the end, one guy is starting the process and brings the watch to the finished piece, and then it goes to the quality control. Several quality controls. At the end, everything has to pass Mr. Schneider's table, and his eyes are very, very strict. And afterwards, the watches be shipped to one of the customers. And as you mentioned before as well, most of our pieces are already sold. So we don't have this regular stocking that you have a window and you find a boutique, hundreds of Lange Heyne. We don't have this. We have clients, we have ambassadors, we have fans they order the piece. They have to wait, unfortunately, a little time, but I think this is probably the best time because you wait for something you will really appreciate.
Absolutely.
And after that time, yeah, the watches we send out.
And as we also believe and we're aware that you're also very selective in terms of, even through your retailers, very selective in terms of who actually gets the timepieces. Now, these timepieces sit on the hands of very high-profile collectors who really appreciate, you know, hand-built and handmade watches. In addition, there's a very important, I believe, fact that today our audience needs to also be aware of. From what we know is you're the third or one of three companies in Germany that specialize in doing their own in-house chronographs.
Yes.
So if we are to know, for example, it's Lange Heyne, and who are the other two companies that...
So we know about Lang Heyne, of course, and Glashütte Original, which are the big fishes in the Glashütte environment. But this is really a fact. Sometimes the people just look at the amazing complications like perpetual calendar and Giro Tourbillon, 3D Tourbillon, whatever you have in the branch. But sometimes I don't want to say simple, but just the chronograph is not that easy. And that's why we are only 3 brands in Germany doing this chronograph, and especially our chronograph Albert, which is the name of the chronograph, yes, is in terms of movement, it's a beautiful piece.
And coming now to the timepieces, as we are aware, you have flagship models, which are the Frederick, and the Frederick come in 3 different variations: the Frederick 1, Frederick 2, Frederick 3, and we've got the George, which is a signature of Lange Heyne, sure, as well as the new sporty Hector that was developed. In addition, you've got the Albert and the Mortz. Yeah. So we'd like to get to know more about, let's start with the Frederick. Why having 3 variations of the Frederick? You started up with the Frederick 1, then the 2, and the 3 came to life, followed by the others.
So Frederick is the movement is the caliber 6 for us, which is the round caliber. For us, this movement is very important due to several reasons. First of all, this shows perfectly the DNA of Lange Heyne, which is you have this so-called traditional Saxonian style in terms of how to make it, how to produce it. So the brass and how to treat the brass, it's very typical for the region. But it's not the same design. So we open up and you can see the bridges openly. So this is something which is not allowed to do in Glashütte, but in Dresden. So we don't have to follow these rules. So we can be more flexible. So for us, this is really nicely done. And for the watch lover, in terms of art, it's a nice piece. We take this one, and this is the base movement, the base watch for, let's say, individualization, customization, like special dials with enamel, hand painted, or engraved, whatever you want. There are tons of options. And so that's why we have this let's say, round piece as a unisex overall caliber, and it shows perfectly our craftsmanship.
And this case size, what's the case size?
It's 39 millimeters, which is very classic. It can be worn everywhere on the world, and it's a perfect fit for your wrist. Especially with the free lux, which is also one of the signatures.
Which is a signature, yes. Yes.
It's perfect. The other one you mentioned is George, which is for me, let's say, the talking piece of the brand, because it's rectangular and you have this very beautiful case with a lot of details. And even here you can see how a movement works very easily due to the bridges. So you see exactly where is the spring, where is the power reserve, and where's the escapement. You can see everything in a row. It's super nice. And
it's a signature of Lange Heyne.
It's a signature. Yes. There's no other piece like that. And even here, there are a lot of options in terms of dial, in terms of engravement. So we use these 2 calibers. Coming back to the Hector, which was launched in 21, the watch was a huge success story for Lange Heyne. 99 pieces, 3 different colors, so 33 each in gray, green and blue. It was sold out after, let's say, hours, which was amazing. For me, as the very just arrived CEO of the brand, I wanted to have a sports watch or more sporty. It's not a sports watch like another one. It's not a diver's watch. Huh? But on the other hand, I said, okay, I don't want to have Frederick, for instance, just with a steel bracelet. This is Frederick is like it is. It's a very classical, and it's a watch which should be not worn as a sporty piece. And we said, okay, we have to start from the scratch, and the team was together, and we started with a brainstorm how it might look like. And when it popped up that we can use our even here in-house made movement caliber 33 to use as a base, and this caliber 33 is something very special. You have this petticoat shape on the cogs, and we said, okay, this is a design element we can use on the dial, on the hands, and you can find a lot of these details in the watch. Even in the bracelet, you find this wave, and it becomes like a game. How can we bring in much more detail? And it ended up in Hector, and in the current design. And yes, as mentioned, it was a big success, and it opened a little bit the world of Lange Heyne.
Yes. Now, this is where we want to. I'd like to also get more insight. Now, with Lange Heyne, you focused more on classical watches. It was a bold move, shifting towards having a sports watch, fully integrated bracelet. It really made a big bang in the market. So, as you mentioned, it sold out in a couple of hours. It was a statement. What drove the company towards going towards that route of introducing something sporty yet still including the DNA and elements of Lange Heyne?
This was exactly the approach. So if you have a look at our collection, with a lot of variations, but somehow always the same direction. Why? It's easy to explain, because we want to be a Saxenian, traditional Saxenian brand, so we have to follow certain design, certain rules. But at the end, Hector gives us the opportunity to open up a little more the brand, even for us, but also for the audience. And due to the limitation of 100 pieces, which is small on the one hand side, but for a small manufacturer, even a big one, because we do all this stuff also in-house. And to produce and to send out 99 pieces, it's a challenge for us.
And I believe the watch comes in a 40 mm case.
Yeah.
And it comes only in steel, which also made it quite attractive to a lot of clients and customers. As we understand, is the Hector, the first edition has been completely sold out.
Yeah.
Nothing is available. There are plans for a second edition?
For sure, there will be Hector edition 2, so this is not a secret anymore. Right now we are finishing and ending with the Hector edition 1 in terms of sending out. So this will be done in a couple of weeks, and we are done with edition 1. Happy clients around the world. And then we'll sit together and start talking about edition 2. So there will be one. A rough estimate is that the launch will take place in 24, end of 24, something like that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Another 99 pieces.
Another 99
This
pieces.
is also no secret.
So we're looking forward to getting some for the Middle East region, hopefully.
For sure, for sure.
Excellent. And on another note, what also makes Lange Heyne stand out is really listening to the end user and the customer in terms of even supporting certain bespoke elements on the watches. Now, when it comes to the cases, you develop the watches in gold, be it white gold, rose gold, yellow gold, steel, which is more predominant here in the market in the Middle East region, and as well platinum.
Yeah.
Now, are there any plans towards having other precious metals like, for example, titanium, tantalum, bronze? Is this something that the company would be looking at some point of time?
I can answer this question with an example. There was a certain request 1.5 years ago coming from Hong Kong. They asked for something special. So we took our caliber 6 and we transformed and added a remontoire function by the way, you see the remontoire function on a small counter, which
Correct.
is very unique, I would say, in the branch. And the movement as a special thing was not done out of brass, it was a titanium movement. So if you see we can work with a titanium movement as a novelty, why not thinking about that? So there is no, let's say, limit overall. Of course, we are very strict in terms of what we do and how we do. So we want to keep our DNA. This is a very important. As long the request fits to the DNA and to the main vision of the brand, let's say we are open-minded. So there is no concrete no, but no concrete yes. It's talking. Let's take the idea, let's work on it. If the output is good, we can move forward. Why not?
And I believe this is a core value proposition that you bring as well. Now today, when you do bespoke pieces to clients, you would listen to them, take their inputs, but you need to make sure that whatever inputs or the final design and outcome comes in is part of the DNA of the brand, and that builds that value proposition to the collector.
That's very important, and it's, you know, when some brands probably it's all up, they take all the orders, or they take all the, you have at least three things. You know, you have big brands, they don't accept any input of the client. They say it's us. We don't accept any input. On the other hand, you have brands, they do everything. We are somehow in between. We have a certain way how we do it and how we see our own collection and what we allow, let's say like that. On the other hand, we are open-minded, and that's exactly probably one of the main KPIs of the brand, that we say, yes, we are in interaction with our clients, talking hands, talking dial, talking engravement, talking, probably case, We have some guys that was with the crown, they wanted to have a small reel here.
Correct.
So it's just somehow playing, and there was no one thinking about, okay, we could do this from ourselves, but the idea came from the client, and then we were sitting together and say, okay, how can we realize his dream or his approach? And afterwards, the watch came true. And this is the approach of Lange Heyne. The only thing we don't accept changes is in hectare. The watch is like it is, so there are 99 pieces of the first, and there will be another one coming somehow. But this is not to change. No engravement. It is like it is.
Excellent. Another two timepieces I'd love to bring to highlight to under two different calibers is the Albert and the Mortz.
Yeah.
Now they are also your signatures. I'm currently wearing the Albert. It's a beautiful platinum and your signature black enamel dial. In it comes in about 44 mm in size. Now, why have you kept it on hold? As we understand, the Albert and the Mortz, which is a moon phase, is on hold currently. Are there plans to reignite those two lines again?
There's a certain request. Currently, we reworked the brand, and that was exactly, we talked before, focus on caliber 6 and 8, and it's a lot of work. Unfortunately, we don't have a development center working 20 watchmakers just working on reconstruction, new construction. We are a small team, so we have to work step by step. And we had to make a certain priority list. And in the priorities, George, Frederick, and Hector are the three first calibers or collection pieces. And afterwards, now there's the Albert and the Moritz. For me, my personal favorite in the brand is also the Albert, due to this nice, very nicely monopusher chronograph function.
I don't want to take it off my wrist.
Yeah, I can fully understand. And we will work on it, but it will take some time. And it's exactly like that. The watch is very nicely done, but all the pieces which are leaving our manufacturer have to be perfect. And that's why if we start to work on the movement, if we want to renew and to, let's say, update somehow, and it's a process all the time, it has to be perfect, and that takes some time. And yeah, there will be a new Albert, there will be a new Moritz, but we have to wait a little bit.
Excellent. You know, I'd like to also have just a brief insight to our audience and our 1010 Labs community and our customers. Of course, we will be offering the existing timepieces, mainly the Frederick, the George, and hopefully the Hector once the second edition comes in. And we are also working on a couple of projects together. Hopefully we will be working on a boutique edition that will be exclusive with 1010 Labs. We won't mention more details. And hopefully another limited edition for the Middle East region, basically to inaugurate our partnership within time. So we'll keep that as a pipeline that we will hopefully surprise our audience and collectors for it. Looking for, we'll ensure that there are regional touches or local touches to the timepiece. So looking forward to working with you on it and representing the brand here in the Middle East. On a final note, I'd like to just thank you for your time and for visiting us, and looking forward to building this partnership on the long run. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you.